time of this negativity from humanity flowing into her. And now it's like it's enough. She's got to get rid of it to evolve herself. And she's doing it, and we're getting it, aren't we?
Well, that's one point of view.
Yeah.
And another point of view, which is what this work is talking about, is over the eons of time, like the regenesis of the Earth has been 560 million years. It dropped out of a second dimensional harmonic into this density, and as just a mass that needed to be restructured into a living system. Mm-hmm. And that when the Guardians were able to come onto the Earth to create flows of the hologram of the Earth to restructure, there's been many interfering race lines in that time.
Because they all wanted to be part of it? Or
well, they all are
control.
Intruders, you see. Like now, the Christic regenesis mission means that there's a perpetual motion life structure, which is an organic system, which is what most of the whole cosmos is. Most of its living structure. Yeah. We're in a fallen structure.
So the crystal structure is everywhere.
It's everywhere as the original structure of perpetual motion life that works, and energy is recycling in and out breath of God's source, in and out of creation to keep things working in perpetual motion. Mm-hmm. And it has a certain exact structure as far as where planets are located, systems are located, how they all join together and connect together in the multi-dimensions. And yet some of the parts are fallen structure, which have been caused through free will choice, where some part of creation fell away from connection to source, became insulated, and became a finite imploding system where it was using its residual energy. And as it was using its residual energy, it was consuming itself. They have technology and ability, mind. Yeah. They went into other systems and started reconnecting tendrils of connection, like a matrix, like a harness, into living structure to siphon energy out of the atomic realities, matter base of other structures, so that they could sustain themselves in a falling system. So they would just have continual plundering of other systems to sustain themselves, right?
A bit like a tree, really.
But what's happening?
A tree, a branch can die off.
Yeah, but it'll grow a new branch. It can grow a new branch if you have the core encryption come back in and restructure itself in time-space.
Yeah, with a, what do they call that when they transplant?
Grafting.
Grafting.
So what happens is this galaxy has been intruded upon by race lines that were in a falling, imploding, finite system. Mm. So we have become contaminated and infected by the falling race line, or many race lines that in that sort of system. So we, being originally in an organic system, have been harnessed and harvested until we now are in a falling system, and our energy is being depleted and it's rushing down the black hole to support that dying matrix.
You know, the Twilight culture is really taking off here. The film star, I don't know her name, but I saw it in some other program, the female vampire is actually the most highly paid film star at the moment on the planet.
I've never watched that show.
No.
They're all talking about it.
I don't know, I don't watch the shows, but I heard that on some other show, yeah.
You'll see a lot of things in the movies that are portraying systems that are taking over through scientific paradigms, the scientific technocrat, the way that they use science to enhance the falling structure to enable them to rob energy more efficiently from other systems.
Because we're
artificial intelligence, bio combinations. And you see a lot of movies now where they're using the synthetic body forms and clones and everything else with soulless creatures, but they've got high-tech bodies to steal energy from other systems. Yeah.
So Tom Cruise is into it.
Well, Tom Cruise, he's right into that.
Really into it.
Scientology and all that stuff, but you notice that the roles he plays, like Eyes Wide Shut, you know how they have this sacrificial system and this sexual perversion through the high societies where they actually have human sacrifices and big orgies and that.
It was an expose of that sort of stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually filmed in one of their true rituals.
Yeah, I think I saw
Didn't the director or something die?
Someone died when they tried to expose what they were doing there. So a lot of the film stars are actually, what they call these...
Nicole Kidman was one, wasn't she?
Yeah. she was married to Tom Cruise at one stage.
They broke up after that.
She lives up here in Sydney, or near Sydney, Sutton Forest. Yeah, so there's a lot of these actors are implanted kind of creatures with a mind control program running them to portray and act out on the stage things that are coming on the planet as far as the agendas are concerned,
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's all made from someone's thought forms, which goes ahead.
Yeah, like even the Matrix and things like that, very true kind of parable of what's going on between, the way I've seen it is we are roboticized in some form. In other words, we are controlled by a control matrix in some form because we haven't got free will, we haven't got full power, we haven't got the ability to create what we truly want. We're restricted and we're running agendas of others. So we're here as people who, if you don't send your children to school, I was just sitting down there listening to the guy in the cafe over there, you've got to go to school. If you don't go to school, they're going to send some truant officer to come and get you. You've got to go to school. You've got to have the education. You've got to have the medication, the vaccinations. You've got to have, if you don't have the vaccinations for your children, you're not going to receive government support. You're a ward of the state. You're in the university. All universities are corrupted with the AN agenda, and the curriculum is being written by higher stations of penetrators, AN intruders. Everything's been written and scripted. The governments, the doctors, the pharmaceuticals, every aspect of this life has been scripted by alien intrusion to shut us down from our own potential and self-reality of we are the offspring of the Almighty Creator. And all power is given to us to create rightly what we truly desire with an innocent heart. Right? And so it's not happening, is it?
No, not from the age of 3.
Well, it's not happening totally.
But now from the age of 3, children are going to be psychiatrically assessed to see if they need to be put on medication.
They're screening children in schools now as standard.
From the age of 3.
Put them on the drugs. Pharmaceutical companies run the drugs. And of course, this is one thing I'm talking about, the layering of the controls of the biological anatomy. What they do is they plug in frequency foods. Like there's certain things like bromine or bromide. They use it in the war to dull the soldiers down. You must have heard it. Not fluoride, or they use fluoride as well. But bromine goes straight to the thymus, whereas iodine is supposed to be the element we have in the thymus for activating stuff, right? Bromine shuts you down. So
why would they do that?
To shut them down.
So they can control them more easily, more obedient.
It's to have no mind of their own so that they can manipulate.
So what they do is they have these certain elements that they put into the food structure and the water, fluoride, that when you are partaking of the government food or the city water, all the government drugs and the frequencies of the towers of transmission, they're all affecting, you're actually loading the cellular structure of your body with frequencies that are controlled by the matrix. So you become roboticized, energized, your emotional fields are controlled.
The more you live in the city, the more...
Well, we get plenty of chemtrails here.
Look, the sun,
especially the summer. Yeah.
The sun is being blocked out, right?
By the moon or by the chemtrails?
There's 22% global dimming in the last 10 years. So there's 22% less light hitting the surface of the planet.
Is that because of the global warming?
Well, there's no global warming. No. But the thing is, they're doing the chemtrails, and the chemtrails are covering up
like a filter.
Like a filter. Plus all the pollution with the carbon fuels that they've been running cars here for 1 century or more. There's pollution from carbon pollution, and it's up there. So all of these things are adding into the atmospheric conditions.
Yeah, the southern hemisphere is not as bad as the northern though, but it all moves around, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean it's a 24/7 worldwide program, the chemtrailing. You look up into the sky, even today I saw them when I walked in here, there's thousands of chemtrails. Thousands of them.
Who runs those? The government?
The government runs them under contractors and military planes, and they're fitted out to spray these toxins, barium, aluminium, desiccated red blood cells, biotech, nanotechnology, smart dust. It's all set in there to change, geoengineer the surface of the planet so that we would become roboticized, controlled by radio frequencies.
How do we get rid of the chemtrails?
Well, you've got to learn how to,
Transmute them.
you've got to be able to bring your body into a higher frequency.
There must be another mineral or chemical that will dissolve.
Yeah, but it's not so much that, because it's happening all over the planet.
Too big.
And it's too big, and it's happening now. There's an Agenda 2012 running right now, where they're trying
Maybe as the sun
to change things.
increasing its rays, there might be
It's
a new...
soul flares.
God always gives you something.
In your own vibration, you need to stay in a higher vibration to stay above all these lower frequencies.
You've got to raise your frequency. Now you see the sun on the 25th of March 2007, the prana seed in the sun was destroyed. Alien spacecraft went into the sun and they shot out through beams, plasma beams. They shot out the core seed atom of the sun that breathes into its parallel sun.
But I went up there with Glenn and we fixed that.
According to Glenn.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Did you hear about that?
Glenn might have, but I told him about that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And he might have gone up and tried to fix it, but there's still evidence that you're getting CMEs. You know, a lot of what they call ring collapse. You know, there's many layers in the sun, right? Boom, boom, boom. Many, many spherical energies that create the energy and the perpetual motion that would be in an organic sun. And they're being ring release. Year after year, there's a major ring release and greater emanation of life coming out.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons probably why they're doing the chemtrails. They wouldn't tell you that we're trying to block out the solar radiation, but there's also galactic radiation coming in. Massive galactic radiation.
I don't think they'll succeed.
Look, the thing is, we're being called to wake up. It's like we have a certain amount of trust. Oh, I'm going to trust God. Well, God is trusting you to wake up.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like
He wants us to.
we're just saying, oh, I want to stay here in my state of whatever's happening. You know,
Comfort zone.
yeah, but it's not so comfortable. I know it's got pressure coming down on us, and there's food toxins, there's everything, and you know, no, you wake up and overthrow the burden within your own hologram, and then transmit healing codes into the surrounding areas, whereby you'll release others from the bondage of that corruption and help them regenerate.
Absolutely, because if toxins are on a low vibration, we can still stay connected to the spiritual energies if we, you know, through our intent and through our practices of, you know, the Kathara teaching.
Well, the Kathara teaching is good because what it's teaching us is, in the beginning, before we fell away from the knowledge of the glory of God, it says in the Bible. Well, let's just say it could be the Genesis story. There's many stories and many kind of mystical stories about that. But the fact is, we are created in the mind of God's source as this beautiful, powerful creature. And we needed to come into space-time matrices, into density, to gain the experience and walk out through the various time cycles, work out our experiential reality, archiving experiences of self-identity, so we could build a body and structure of our true selves, not just a spiritual form, but a matter base that was combined with the spiritual. In here, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. So you came down from high frequency into low frequency density, and into this first harmonic universe, which is dimensions 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
And then in that time cycle of 25,556 years, of a normal progression of 6 smaller time cycles, we would lay down the archiving of our genetic DNA strand building, archiving our self-identity in space-time matrices, and build up an identity. And then when we've filled our time cycles of completion, we would migrate to the next harmonic and start doing, you know, strands 4 by 6, chakras 4 by 6, until we built ourselves back up into a structure of. That's what we came here for.
It's the prodigal son.
Yeah, prodigal son stepped down through 7 step downs and returned home through 7 step ups. Yeah, when he came to himself, it says in the Bible.
It's all about that, the story of the 7 steps.
It's like, it's a stair-step creation. It's the 7 frequency drops, and it's the 7 harmonic universes, basically.
The chakras?
Well, yeah, it can be that, but you've also got, say you've got 15 chakras, right? So you've got 7 and 7 plus the 1, which is the source union. So you've got male, female, you've got angelic, human. So you've got, everything's all built in many, many frequencies coming together and weaving a body of many, many multi-dimensional structures of subatomic particles in atoms and all the rest that build up the whole structure of your body. So you have to walk them out through space-time.
So did this all happen with the Adam and Eve?
Well, the Adam and Eve thing is the biblical expression of it.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing.
Full of grace.
It's
Full of grace.
Adam means Christ, right? Adam means Christ. So Eve means, well, actually Adam means a spirit. Eve means deception. It's like Adam, but it is saw Adam meaning spirit and Eve meaning consciousness of self-identity.
Or evil in the tree.
Yeah, Eve in the evening, in the darkness there was no light. Adam is the offspring of Source, which is the light, which is the seed, which comes into the womb of your mind, which is your self-identity, which knits together a body of reality. You know what I'm saying?
So it didn't really come from the rib.
A rib, yes, a rib. Deoxyribose nucleic acid, that's the DNA.
Say that again.
Deoxyribose nucleic acid, the rib. The rib of Adam, when it says in the Bible, in Moses' tabernacle, it says the rib on the side of the tent, which is, this is the tent, this is the body, this is the house, this is the temple of God. With the rib meaning the two ladders of the DNA spiral. The rib was taken. The DNA of God's self was split into Eve and Adam, spirit and matter.
Yes.
Right.
So that when they were split apart, Eve went around. It's not a woman. Eve's not a woman.
It's a galactic story.
It's a story about self-identity. So Eve would be who I am without the husband. The husband is the seed or the spirit of truth, and
Just the oversoul.
and just this self-identity without a true husband, it started to receive husbands from outside, or seeds or ideas of conception, self-conception, ideas of self-identity from outside of Source.
Planet Earth.
So there you have it. That's the Adam and Eve parable.
That's what's happening to Earth.
So it says here's the Bible story. It says, when the sons of God began to multiply, it says sons of God
So how many of
began to multiply on the face of the earth, only daughters were born unto them. So what does that mean?
Oh, hang on, what do I think about that?
That's when the
When the
Nephilim
sons
came.
of God.
They only bred with the daughters of man.
This is what it means. It means that here's Adam and Eve. Here's Eve. Adam's gone out of the picture. Now the deception's here, and these are the sons of men
Through her children.
through its children, men and women. That's Eve, man and woman. It's just the female side.
That created the duality.
And so when mankind started to breed on the face of the earth, only daughters were born. In other words, humans, men and women, but they were daughters. They didn't have a husband.
They didn't have the
They didn't have the seed in them, the Christ in them. They didn't have the light of truth in them.
Well, where did it go, Adam?
Suppressed inside each one. So as the layers of deception push down your self-identity, which is Christ, Adam, push down into obscurity, all you know is the conceptions of this alien world, and you've conceived a lie. You've conceived a false identity. Everyone's walking around as woman, impregnated by all of the different thoughts or ideas that they've conceived in the womb of their mind and created a false identity.
So now finally that Christ.
That Christ is returning
Yes.
into the temple to overthrow the corruption.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's the biblical teaching.
When's that happening?
It's happening
Now.
It's happening because you want your husband. What's your husband? Well, this is the body.
Fix the pipes. Essential.
You know, this is called the body mind.
Flow of the crystal.
You know what this is called? The body mind. It's the body mind. This is the offspring of the identity that you have conceived of in the womb of your mind. Now, your mind is outside of your body, producing in space-time your body. So the mind is outside of you. It's the auric fields of multidimensional structure, and it's also inside you, as well as inner realms. But the mind is just like it's projecting an identity in space-time. And that's you. And it's filled with misconceptions about yourself.
And now that our auras are filled with everybody on the planet, the whole globe aura.
Well, what we're doing is we're receiving our original seed back, which is that spark of life which is in you.
which is the Christ,
Which never
in
left.
individual consciousnesses.
It's-
and we all have to get to it individually.
It's everyone's original self-identity that's been suppressed in the bodysuit called this corruption, that when you let that spark of life start to rewrite your book of life and overwrite the corruption programs that animate this vessel in space-time in the matrix, you're going to create a new womb around you, a new mind around you. It'll be a pure womb, a pure God mind.
Lovely.
And the seed will be the word of truth, communicating with the mother womb around you, and it's going to produce a new image of your self-identity, which is Christ walking in the earth. Right?
The second coming, second coming.
It's the second coming.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So when it says in the Bible, and I like quoting the Bible sometimes because there's a lot of truth in it.
Yeah.
When it says in the Bible that there are many, many kinds of women, it refers to your receptivity, you know, what you're conceiving in yourself. There's virgin, there's barren, there's whore, there's mother, there's grandmother, and there's daughters. So there's many different sisters.
Archetypes.
There's different kinds of receptivity of your being. Now, if you are a whore, it means that you're a human being that's conceiving of this world, and this world's false. That's what adultery is. Adultery is same thing. I'm a woman, you're a woman, we're all women here.
Yeah.
We're all women here.
It's just, we don't talk about
Because this is the body mind. This is the woman. This is the woman. It's made of the dust of the earth. It's the magnetic. It's the one that's ready to conceive of the husband, which is a true husband, which is Christ. But if we're conceiving of all the concepts of this alien world, we're creating a false body in the womb of our mind.
Now, isn't the alien world also God?
The alien world is a separated God self. It's made of God particles.
Yeah.
So it's called dark light, what we call Shona light. So in the triadic structure of Pata Kai, Pata K, Pata Kam, it means God particle flashes itself into space-time matrices as two parts, electric, magnetic. Then they return to God's source, replicate, go out behind creation point door, gather quanta, come back into space-time matrices and expand consciousness. That's called Pata Kai phasing, and that's part of the basic structure of this teaching. How consciousness creates itself into many great, diverse, infinite realities through self-identity intention. So that's what's happening.
And it's only on the lower dimensions that this can occur.
Well, on the lower dimensions,
Positive and negative.
it occurs right up to there until there's a neutral particle where they commingle exactly in the same space-time location without interference.
But only here.
And then there's no duality, is
There's no duality,
Just the pie.
but God knows itself through duality, provided it's connected to Source. Now, if Source works into duality, Pata Kai goes to Pata K, Pata Kam. And then Pata K, Pata Kam report back to God's Source. So God's Source is in complete communion with the duality constantly, in great diversity. It's like a trinity. It's what we call a triad. So if something separates from God's Source, instead of the God particle being there and two particles of duality here, God has disassociated itself from these particles. They're still God's Source particles of creation, but they cannot communicate in living structure. But they can still function and multiply and replicate and do their own creation of a sort. As they rob energy from other systems, they can generate structure. So they exist with these dark light particles by stealing energy from other living systems.
Well, that's why we have two eyes.
Three.
Positive and negative, and then the third.
The three.
It's the centre,
Yeah. So what we're finding is anything that's separated from God's Source as just like two particles of duality without the triality, those two parts there are still God's Source consciousness, self-identity of any individual reality.
It takes them a longer time.
No, they can't. They've got to reconnect. They've got to reconnect. And that's what they offer.
Jesus said.
Yeah, repent. Return unto me, sons of men, and I shall return unto you. So this is what the God Source principle it is. God's Source gives it into the creation. Creation is thankful, generates quanta, and returns to God. A quantum generation, so that there's a greater replication in the whole of creation. So every part is a perpetual motion generation. So if you're in a living system, you're continually, perpetually generating and sending energy back to Source because you receive energy from Source. Anything that's separated from Source cannot return energy to Source, cannot receive energy from Source, but it can rob other systems, and that's what's happening here.
Right, and is that to do with the Grail? The returning to Source and coming back again? Is that like a holy
Well,
Grail?
I suppose it could be, we call the Grual, which is a central point of the three dimensions here on the Earth, 1, 2, 3, the Gruel point would be the point of God's source,
The neutral part.
that part of God's source that harmonises things in perpetual motion. It's the Gruel, yeah.
It must be the Holy Grail, mustn't it? Because everyone's searching for it.
Yeah, but it's in us.
Yes.
It's nowhere else.
Oh, no, that's
It's in this
right.
feminine
But
body, and that
It's
was
in-
the
it's in
Immaculate
here.
story. It was in the
Yes.
feminine body.
Well, what about amygdala inside the brain? Amygdala, right? It's like, this is...
Pineal.
Yeah, and don't forget, no, not pineal, it's the down on the brainstem. It's just on the bottom part of, underneath the cerebellum, cerebrum, yeah? It's on top there, it's like amygdala.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Magdalene.
So there's parts there. And it's also like, some things become very interesting. You know the story of Father Christmas, right?
Oh,
He comes down the chimney and brings the gifts. Okay? Now, on the top of the brainstem, there's a thing called Sancta Claus.
Oh, for goodness
And
sake.
it goes down the chimney stack, which is your spine, to the sacral secretion, the sacred secret, the sacral secretion, the sacred secret, and it brings gifts down the spine.
Oh,
Saint
for goodness
Nicholas.
sake. That's connected everything that I've got in the last 2 nights.
Huh, with Santa.
And also,
Yes.
when you look, you just mentioned 33 vertebrae. Christ is 33 steps, okay? Here's the age of 33. So it's like the spinal column of the building of this body, or the temple. But it's also like you go to the Bible and you look in there and you say, when Joshua crossed the Jordan. Now the Jordan
River.
is the flow of energy that came from the distortion. It's called Jordan. But when he crossed the Jordan, it says the waters were backed all the way up to the city of Adam. So when he crossed the Jordan, the waters were backed all the way up
All through his ancestry.
to the river Adam. But when he went through, it says he came into the land, which is this land, and he conquered 31 kings. Now there are 31 chords in the spinal cord. He conquered every one of those distortions that are running in our system. Right? 31 kings. Joshua conquered 31 kings. Joshua was a type of Christ. So when you cleanse the 31 chords, it's like a Kundalini, but Kundalini is only 7 or 9, and it's closing in on itself. It's not breathing into higher dimensions, so it's contained within a containment of energy. It can't get out into higher dimensions.
And the word Santa is Satan. who
No,
always gets in the
Santa.
way.
No, Santa is Sancta, pure. Sancta, like saint. Saint Claus, Santa Claus, right?
I always put that class being into archetypes.
This is the technology they're finding out through looking at the anatomy and what science says about it. You've got your reptilian brain, then just on top of that there you've got the Sancta Claus.
But we've all got a reptilian brain
Yeah.
from the Pleiades.
Well, it's just part of the evolutional consciousness structure of this body that was raised up that we could come and inhabit it, so we could overcome the distortions in the body. We have a body given to us, which we're going to remodify by the knowledge of the truth.
So we borrowed their brain or built upon it.
Well, it's been a progressive evolutional consciousness of a structure. You know, what did Jesus say in Hebrews 10? A body thou hast prepared me. God's given him a body to come into, to reconstruct, so he can take it up into light and return as an angelic vessel.
But he wouldn't have come in with a reptilian brain.
Yeah,
He
No,
came in-
but the body he came into would have had. But when you see what happened with Jesus, this is a biblical teaching from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. It says there were 42 generations from Abraham to Christ, 42 generations. You look up the genealogy, there's only 41. Okay? There's 41 in the record. Where's the last one? He came through the cross, so to speak, and that from the flesh to the spiritual was the 42nd generation.
For 3 lots of 14.
So 42nd generations from the beginning, or
From the beginning, when faith was conceived in man, to build a body that Jesus could actually come into, there was frequency ready for that incarnation to come in and manifest in that body.
That's incredible.
That's the bride that Jesus is coming back for his bride.
Well, that's a biblical principle. Everyone is the bride. Everyone is a woman. Everyone's the bride. Everyone's a woman. Yeah. So the bride is to be spotless and without wrinkle. If you're a filthy whore, how can the King of Kings come? How can your true identity come and incarnate into a filthy vessel?
That's why we've got the psychiatrists working for you.
Let me tell you, the psychiatrists are only shuffling information from that drawer to this drawer, and they're never getting much of it in advance, you know.
They're polluting everything while they're doing it.
But can you see that that's the parable? That's the Christ point of view, my own kind of teaching. Kathara is showing you the same kind of action that, you know, it says, even with the dark flowering of consciousness that is now entering this planet, a lot of dark intruders coming in, they've got contracts.
It's not residue from the
No, there's a lot of fallen black avatar incarnating into bodies. Yeah, and it's more prevalent now, the big plague on the earth at the moment, because of what's happened. It's called dark flowering of consciousness. They have been
not in the youth, is it? Or it's in everything?
it's whoever's got the contract.
Right.
Who, you know, it's like
I've been told it's well and truly on the way out now.
it is on the way out, provided we persist with our uplifting.
Yes.
Now look, there's
They're wrong.
And I've been told there's been enough of the light, people that have got that light, that have pushed the
51%.
balance over. Yeah,
Well,
it's over the 50.
everything's on the constant change, and it's like a pot boiling at the moment. But the reason we are evacuating this galaxy, there's a 200-year evacuation notice on this galaxy.
200 year. Okay.
Everyone's got to migrate their consciousness off this galaxy, because all the gates, which are vortex time portals, which go to higher dimensional
Where do we
structure,
send our consciousness then?
that's where we're learning now through this technology to go into no,
Hyperspace.
because let's put it this way, the reason they've had to evacuate the galaxy is because the dark energy has overtaken the crystic perpetual motion in the galaxy and many galaxies. But the thing that's happening right now at the moment is this cosmic structure coming back into the universe and then into these many, many billions of galaxies that are existing here as our current universe. There's many, many changing scenarios that are coming so fast now. When Ashiana announced that a while ago, it was like, hey, we've got to get off the galaxy. Okay?
That's a big call.
No, it's not, because that's what the ascension process is anyway, is to come out of density into higher dimensions of more light frequency and then ascension up. See, because we're in a fallen structure, it's not an organic system we're in. If it was organic system,
It could self-regenerate.
if it was self-regenerating, we would say, oh, we'll be okay, but it's not self-regenerating, it's in a depletion, it's in a black hole fall. Energy of this whole galaxy is being ripped out down the black hole to feed these families
So also
who
Venus
infiltrated
and Mars and all
the whole galaxy. Not only this galaxy, many galaxies in this universe, but all in the same universal fall of Eka implosion.
So how can the dark energies be allowed to take over that amount of
Because everyone has been given free will to make their decisions, and people haven't had the right teaching and understanding on how to regenerate this structure, and now the living structure has been overthrown by the intruder structure.
I thought our planet was one of the lowest in vibration, and maybe all the higher ones would have saved the galaxy.
Look, there's a lot.
Isn't that individual form, again, if enough of us on this planet can get past that.
And that's what our whole thing's been about.
That's what we're doing right now.
We're doing that now, but
Yeah.
we need more consciousness beings doing it. And
Yeah.
they are starting to do it on some subtle levels because of what's going on.
They're doing it anyway, aren't they?
They're doing it anyway if they have,
Quick enough.
but people have got to have the true intention, and they've got to use their mind. The mind, which is the ego, is a very, very essential part of our anatomy and has to be utilised for true purpose. The ego is being utilised for destructive mechanisms, purposes and functions. And of course the mind, or the ego, perpetuates the destruction, and it's like a plague. It's like a contagious disease, a mind virus that everyone's catching the distortions and the distractions. So the more people who can come into their own self-responsibility and regenesis, they are sharing codes of frequency into the shield where others can pick up the encryptions to start the same process, because we're all joined as one life,
We are.
right? But you see, the agenda, the money, the governments, the media, everything's pushing everyone and distracting them and taking them away from purpose.
Yeah, no. Even on the internet, everything is
Everything is a distortion here.
But
That's why
they're being found out bit by bit, surely.
there's a lot of disclosure happening right now.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff being exposed. I've seen a lot of everywhere around the planet. You know, governments are being exposed. Bankers are being exposed. Corporation heads are being exposed. You know, and a lot of things are being exposed, and people are being brought to task. You know,
if you're
inside,
aware of
internally.
it and watch a bit of the news, it's there and you can see it. And I was told the Pope and he's the last Pope and all that's going to crumble because they're being exposed. And just this week, you know, there's more child abuse claims and
look, I mean,
it's happening.
Well,
Isn't
they're
it
leaving
around?
the planet as well.
yeah, but people can't leave the planet. That's the problem. They are in review loops and they'll have to reincarnate into this planet to overcome. The only way you can overcome is in the body. If you're in the body, you can do the work, because what you record as the archive of your self-identity is worked through the body.
That's right.
You have to be in a body to overcome
Which is why
the corruption which is in the body. So a lot of people say, oh, there's people just leaving the planet, they're going to some other space-time location. No, you're sealed in hermetically. You can't escape from the gravity of this planet, because, one, you've got codes that are buried in bodies that you've had past incarnational lives in. You've got what we call in the bones, in the flesh, any atom. See, because when your spirit comes into the womb of your mother and it tethers together your spiritual reality with the atomic structure of your biology, there are certain markers and particulates that identify you to that atom in this structure, and it's called the jari, which is the jari is the living system that bonds to the atoms. The jarosh is that dark light karmic imprint that you bond into the atoms of your body. So if you've laid a body down, whether it's been eaten by birds, carried away, all the atoms that are scattered through the earth.
We're all one, aren't we?
If you try to take your soul out, say you drop your body now and you try to take your soul out, it's starting to do back rolls because it's coming to pick up all the bits and pieces that belong to it down here.
So what if you're cremated?
It's better to be cremated. But when you get your mind into high tech, high space, the computation of mind can regather all of those parts and resort all of those parts through all space-time incarnations and release you from here.
When you're cremated?
Well, no, if you're cremated, it's better. But we haven't always been cremated. We haven't always been cremated.
You don't have to die, you just say you're not going to die.
Yeah, but you can say you're not going to die, but they'll still dig a hole and throw you in there. You know what I'm saying? It's like you've got to actually not die. And that's what Jesus demonstrated. He didn't actually die.
No, they told me that he took a rabbit hole out the back of that cave, and that's why they thought, that's what he told me.
Yeah, but see,
there was a small exit.
The thing is, here's the teaching. Jesus demonstrated there's no such thing as death, and he has abolished death. If you die a body, sin killed you. You haven't dealt with the corruption in the body, and therefore it'll drag you down to the grave time and time again. But whilst you're in a body, you have the potential to overwrite the corruption and take your body up. That's the demonstration.
But only your life body.
Your real body. So this body, you'll transform it into a new structure.
On its way up. Or on the earth.
You've got to do it here, and then it'll be transportable, or you can do it here completely and take it up completely. But it has to be done in space-time, in this earth where you are coded.
But isn't it too late?
No.
Would have told me when I was about 8 that I must have an orange every day of my life. And I haven't done that.
Never too late to start.
Orange, but that's the colour, mate.
No,
I don't know why, it was just for long.
those shouldn't eat oranges.
But you see, it doesn't matter what you put into the body. Like anything, see, this is what I've found out. Everything we see and perceive and feel and sense around us is a projection of our own mind, right? And it comes back to us to bear witness that what we're projecting is true. So when we project someone in our life who's going to come and thump us in the nose, we had that energy to sort out, and it's come to bear witness to us that that's what we're holding in ourselves, right? It might be some time when you've assaulted somebody or whatever. It's a balance of energy, right? Karma, whatever. Okay? So if your inner is, see, your Christ is pushed down until it is no longer operating in your temple. And the controls of this world are operating in the temple. So therefore the controls of this world are lodged in your projector of holographic form, and you're projecting their controls onto the screen of life, and it's coming back to you as a witness. I'm projecting it, that's what I'm seeing. I'm projecting it, that's what I'm seeing.
You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow, and you're sowing corruption, and you're sowing destruction to the flesh. If you let that Christ, that true self-identity, which is connected to Source, come up and integrate right through the whole systems of your body, and you emanate and radiate the glory of the inner kingdom, you shall see the inner kingdom as your perfect witness. Right?
Do you know, one of the things I got through this week was I was scurrying around and I was picking up little bits from different places that I've been, collecting them all back to me, and you have just explained.
Gathering those parts of your self-identity locked into different atomic structures in various habitations that you've had through many galaxies over billions of years.
Yeah,
We've got bits everywhere. We could never collect it.
But when your mind is the high mind that oversees everything, you can do the resorting and regathering unto yourself.
And that's what I was doing. And I thought, as I was going, it was shown in a more like a physical thing that I was just picking up bits that I'd left. And, you know, I was thinking, my logical mind was sort of saying, I don't need these bits, but still I'll get them, I've got to get them. And I was going to all these different places and gathering them.
Yeah, you're getting yourself together.
And I didn't know what it meant until you...
It means that you have parts of yourself scattered all over space-time realities. Yeah. And that through an ascended mind, you can regather all those, reorder them, cleanse them, purge them, put them all together. Yeah. And it also means that you have traces in space-time matrices that you own as an inheritance, that you can travel there any time. Any place that you've been...
Left mine there.
No, but you've left them there.
Yeah, because
but you see, let's say it this way. If you came out of Sirius, you have Sirian codes. Sirius has its own codes, but you've got no distorted codes now.
I have bones there.
No, but if you've got bones there, you've got to clean them up and have your clean self-identity. You're still coded to Sirius. Sirius still has its own space-time codes. You can be out here, and you can still come back into Sirius because you've got those clean, pure codes of access, frequency. The memory is held in the shield of Sirius and also in your shield. It's a memory. But you've cleaned up the dead, dying bones of corruption that were bonding you to that place, continuously reincarnating. You know what I'm saying?
Well, were they corrupt though?
Well,
Sirius is quite a high vibration.
Yeah, but the corruption's been right through many, many high structures. High and deep. It's been going through many, many galaxies here for billions and billions and billions of years.
It's like it's also high.
It's high frequency, but they can be high, can be very, very high distortions. High frequency distortions that run through many family lines into today's people on the earth, for example.
It's like you create a clear way to that dimension, isn't it? And when it's clear,
you can go there.
Ready access.
You can go there. You got all the free access codes. You're not bound in any contaminations there. You're actually completely free. You have access into there. You know the frequency. You know the coding. You can go, come and go, come and go.
Which we do anyway, because we always go forward. Our faces are on the front of our head. We never look back.
But don't forget, it's only when you go back and heal your past that you'll free your future.
No, you turn into a pillar of salt.
No, that's the old Job prophecy. But the thing is, if you don't, here's the technology. The past, at this moment, this body is a record of the past.
Yeah,
Memory, and it's a record of the past. And I'm projecting it into my future. So the past is projecting into my future, and I'm constantly walking into it now. But it's past records projecting into the future.
Yeah.
So it's only now that I can change the past to create a new future.
Right, but then where will you walk?
You will walk into a better and brighter future by healing your past. If you don't heal the past, you'll repeat the past.
You'll come to the centre, like another way of explaining it is the feminine and masculine coming into the centre and uniting, isn't it?
and with source, and with the harmonizer, which is God's source.
Yes.
So the past projects a future, and that's called prophecy. All prophecy has finished now. Now it's living in the now moment, which is creating as you go with full knowledge. But we're not doing that because the past is still projecting into the future. We've still got a prophecy, we've still got a projection and a perception, a projection and a perception. We want all-knowing, instantaneous light. So there are dark thought forms in the past record of our book that need to be cleared so we can constantly be in the now moment of the life that we truly desire.
And to clear them, we love them, don't we?
You can,
as Jesus said, forgiveness.
You can love them, but you've got to face them. And I know a lot of people who are avoiding them because they think they're being condemned by them and they're being judged by them. But Source says, I never judge you. God's Source has never ever judged anybody. You know, even in the Bible it says, God doesn't hold us accountable for our sins. Who does? You do. You are Satan, condemning yourself before the throne of God constantly, day and night. We're constantly condemning ourselves because we feel guilt about those parts of ourselves that aren't communicating with God's source. But we're frightened to look at them because we think that we're going to be condemned by God and we're going to be punished into eternal damnation. But when you do look at them and bring them in front of the presence of God and say, can I rejoin these parts into perpetual motion life? They'll come back as a living memory and you'll get rid of those past records that you fear.
But what if you don't remember them?
When you're condemning yourself, like you're saying, these things, you're the one who does it. God isn't. When you're judging yourself, and you're drawing more of this sort of pollution into yourself when you do that. In other words, this counterproductive thing that you're doing.
Very counterproductive because what you give away comes home to stay.
Right.
If you have a negative energy running through you, you'll project that out, but it'll come back and magnify. And the more you build on it, the more you think of it, the more you energize it.
It's a bit like depression.
It's depression. Depression is a spiral downward from God's source. I mean, if you're connected more to God's source, you don't have the depression. Yeah. And so we've got to give ourselves permission to free ourselves from any self-condemnation.
Well, so when we're in this judgment, self-judgment, awareness is this we're trying to get awareness of that.
Fear not to stand for a moment in the midst of that. The fear, the guilt, the shame, the pain, the anguish, the sorrow, the suffering, no matter what it is, fear not to stand in it and bring it to you and say, I want to have a look at this now. And know that God's source is with you, or the light is with you, or that you are the light looking at it. And when you know you are the light looking at it, light dissipates the darkness. Right? It transforms the darkness into living light. But if you constantly put it to the side, it'll never come into the light to get transformed. But if you let it come into the light and invite it in, and then by the power of your presence, transmute it into living structure.
That's the difference between sort of acting awareness and acting being asleep. So not being aware.
Being asleep, because darkness is only ignorance, and it's ignorance of who you truly are. And so in the Bible it says they did not bring their sinful deeds into the light for fear of condemnation. They thought that God was going to condemn them. But then if you read, God never condemns anybody. God never judges anybody. And God doesn't forgive you because he's never accused you.
Yeah, sort of how once it said, if you want to make the dreams come true, wake up.
Wake up. Wake up.
We have this beautiful dream.
And just say to yourself, you did the best you could at the time.
You only did what you knew.
You only did what you knew.
And so did everybody else.
So does everyone else. So have compassion on others.
The forgiveness seems to be all the part of this too.
Yeah, forgiving them because they don't know that they're doing something.
Isn't that what Jesus said on the cross?
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
They don't know. They're just acting out of the program of this matrix, and they feel like that. One moment they're feeling elated, next thing they're feeling condemned because they don't know what to do in this world. They're being guided by the wind, tossed to and fro, and they're going everywhere. But a steadfast rock the certainty of being anchored into your own self-identity. Know that Christ in you, your true identity. You'll blast everything else out of the water.
I say, I love and accept myself just the way I am now.
Yeah, so that's I'm sort of a practical sort of bloke, and thinking that seems to make sense to me.
So taking initiative
To do this.
to do something.
You can sometimes do perhaps mention to another.
Yeah.
If you realise, you've gone now into negative energy in the last couple of hours.
You can let them know that, but sometimes it's not particularly wise because you can get their back up. At the same time, you can acknowledge it, and you can extend the healing wave to them, that when they suddenly realise that you're not judging them, there's no discord there, suddenly that one accord will knock on their door and they'll open it and they'll be free.
Yeah, so an observation like that.
Just an observation, detached awareness. In other words, I'm aware that that person is doing it. I'm not going to mention it because that will put energy on it and it'll strengthen their resolve. But if I release it in me, twang, like a rubber band, it'll shoot and knock on their door. They'll suddenly see that you're not judging, and that the light will go in and it'll wipe out that particular record in their file.
Yeah, change doesn't come about when you're in judgment.
That's right. So release it, release the energy. And there's a discharge. It's like the only reason we have a record against us. This is the record book. This is a book of records of who you are. It's called the book of life, but now it's called the book of death, because who shall free me from this body of death? The record is that there's been a charge put upon you. So when you go to a court of law, there's been a charge. You've been charged, arrested, taken in front of the judge. And the judge says, now you've got a record. Okay? How do you get the record discharged? You've got to
jail or a fine.
No, you've got to pay something, which means you're going to give light into it, because that dark thing is trying to rob you. It's a black hole vortex siphon that's trying to bring energy out of you, but you're going to put light down that corridor and it's going to discharge the charge. There's no longer a charge or a valence between the atoms of your Merkaba field that's in tension with one another. You're releasing it and you're discharging the charge against you in your record book, and that's what rewriting your book of life is. You're going to rewrite this book of life because it's filled with charges or ionic particles that are charged into a negative frame that are constantly pulling you away from your perpetual motion. So you're going to discharge every imbalance of charges in your record book over billions of years of history, actually.
Just with love and changing the system.
Being prepared to bring the darkness to light. Bring the darkness of that which you're hiding.
With compassion.
Bring it into the light. And as you lay on the altar of truth within your holy temple, you lay the darkness next to the light. Dissipate the light.
You were saying before, sorry, I forgot your name.
Grant.
Sorry. You were saying before about psychology, and I was wondering about psychology. Is whether psychologists and people working with that, whether they are actually endlessly studying the darkness, and it's a circular thing, we'll never get out of that.
That's right.
It just becomes down.
Without the spirit of truth.
We need the light to come.
The light's got to come in. They might give you a better proposition in the dark world. It might look better for you, but in actual fact you've still got the same problem. It's just a different set of circumstances or a different way to convince yourself that it's not happening.
Patching up.
Yeah, patching up. But if you want to,
Getting to the centre, you've
got to shine the light.
Yeah.
So when you go into court and you don't want the judge to put anything on you, just take off your shoes and say, I'll stand on the side of the court, thank you.
Good. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. Oh, that's it.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
You are. It's your freedom. You're allowed to be barefooted. So as soon as you put your shoes on, you'll become one of them.
That's right. And don't forget they've got carpet on the floor as well, which is also an elevation.
Oh, what does that mean?
Oh, you know the story about the court. It's just it's a pirate ship in dry dock. You don't know about that, do you? So the port authority is exercising the maritime law or the admiralty law. It's the law of the sea, of piracy. The law of the land was held by the crown, and it was a God-given extension of rights of kings. So the rights of kings would work through the law of the land, but in the law of the sea,
Oh, yes.
it was a different thing. Anything goes. Piracy, it's called. Piracy on the high seas. And so when the pirates came to land, they put courthouses on the land, shaped up like a pirate ship with the captain at the top and all these officers down here, then everything. So that when you have a different platform or level of speaking, you're under the judge. Do you understand me? Are you standing under my authority? Do you understand me? You're down there and I'm up here. He can't see anybody in there. He is just the one dominating the room, right? So that's what he's saying. If there's a level of platform, there's uneven playing field, right? And it's totally piracy, tyranny, criminality, exercising itself as a self-appointed authority in the land. Right?
We understand ourselves. I mean, we're understanding our own
Well,
head.
when I got arrested that
We
time,
must understand ourselves.
you've got to stand under him. You say, God, I understand you. I am his underman. So if you wrote down Human, human, his underman. Man is Melchizedek, angelic neophyte. I am the angelic neophyte standing under God.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So you understand him.
I understand you, God. I'm one with you. Animate me into good works. I don't want this world to animate me into dead works. I want the living source to work through me. I stand under God.
Because otherwise you're standing under corporation, and then you're a person.
Well, that's more out that way. Then we have the cross. We've got this going on and this going on.
Yeah, with the dark side tending to the corporation, with the judge judging you. Therefore, you don't go into that situation under their conditions. You just take off your shoes.
When
When
the police arrested me for not participating with the breathalyzer.
When was that?
Oh, this is going back
Okay.
3 or 4 years ago, something.
You didn't want to do that.
Well, that's a corporation tyranny and criminal act against a sovereign entity.
Right.
And I wasn't going to participate with the tyranny.
It's
not even law.
Go on.
It's not even law. It's actually a legislation that they passed as a corporation act, as what they call a regulation or a code.
It is something else.
It's not constitutional. It's corporate law structured to rape the people, right? To extract money from the people. It's not safety. It's not safety.
But he came to my window and said, do you mind if I do? He did ask permission.
Say no.
I should have said no. But
Maybe.
then when I blew into the tube, for an hour later, I could taste this strange...
Yeah, what it is they put all sorts of biological microbes. They could do anything.
That's what I thought.
So what happened was,
Very strange flavour.
it's a very, very powerful thing when a police officer says to you, because he said, sir, would you wind down the window, please?
With their manners and...
Yeah, and they're being politically correct so they can rape you with the right honour. Okay? So you wind down the window a little bit, and, sir, would you blow into this bag? I said, no thanks, I don't want to. No thanks, mate. And he says, sir, you must blow into the bag. I said, no thanks, mate, I don't want to do it today. I opt out, thanks very much, mate. Anyway, thanks for that. I'll be on my way.
Drinking.
I'll be on my way. Sir, if you do not participate with this breathalyzer test, we shall be forced to arrest you. Do you understand?
Understand.
And I said, no, I don't understand. Do you understand? No, I don't understand. Do you understand? No, I don't stand under you. I don't understand. Because if you say, yes, I understand, you're under their authority.
That's so
And they did arrest you then?
They arrested me, threw me over the bonnet, handcuffed me, pushed me on the thing.
Arrest, what's that mean?
They gave me a rest on the bonnet. I needed the bonnet to have a rest. But anyway, the thing is, when they pushed me on the car,
Pushed you?
oh, the push, they've seen too many American movies.
They're not very nice people.
They do training. The police here do training with the Indonesian army. So how to rape, kill, murder, destroy, that's their agenda, right? So they're going to treat people like crap.
Like that.
Okay, so he pushed me on the bonnet of the car. And I said a quick prayer, God, what will I do? And he said, say this. And so I turned around and I said, release me immediately. And he goes, because he's under my command, right? God's speaking. Release me immediately. And he says, but you attack me. I said, you're attacking me, mate. You're attacking me, and you think I'm going to attack you? I said, I'm an innocent sovereign being. I can't hurt a fly. Release me immediately. Took the handcuffs, I see.
Because God was speaking.
And then, as I was standing there,
They didn't want trouble.
no, they are so used to taking commands from the Matrix. As soon as the authority of the living one spoke, he was under a command that he was much superior command.
Much superior.
And so I said to him, release me. Next thing another car pulls up, 4 guys come running out, and I said, stop! And they all froze. I said, you have no right to enter into my vicinity. Stand back. Right? Like this, right? And I commanded them. And one policewoman had my arm up my back, and it was just like a 10-year-old girl holding the arm up, you know? It's just
They're
like,
not sure.
and anyway, I said to him, all of you are under the command of Satan. And I said, I'm under the power of the living God. See, that's what it says, right? And they said, no, they said, we can have you locked up in a lunatic asylum. And I said, now stop, because I know that they use that kind of tactic to lock people up and put them away and drug them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, stop, not one more word. And he went, all right. I said, now, you give me back the keys that you've stolen from me, and give me back my wallet that you've stolen from me.
Really? They robbed you when they pushed over the bonnet.
They took the keys and my wallet, so they could see who I am.
Yeah.
And he said, is this your license here? I said, well, yeah, I suppose so. I said, but it's not my real name. False name, and all this stuff, you know. Anyway, I said, now, let me go. So I jumped in the car and off I went, right?
But they had all your details, but you were clear.
No, but they had the details of the false man.
Yeah, there's nothing.
They had the details of the capitalised corporate entity. They didn't have me. They just had the false man. And when I ended up in court, I went into court and the judge is there, right? And he says, where's your solicitor? I just stood there. Where's your barrister? I demand that you have a barrister.
Yeah, $2,000 an hour.
Yeah. He said, I demand that you have a barrister. And I said, I hereby accuse you of rape, my honour. He's sharp. You're raping me, Your Honour. He's forcing me to go against my will. I said, no, I don't need anyone to defend me, or I'm not even here to defend myself. I'm here to clear up a matter of false identity. You've sent something to my address with a false name on it, and it sounds a bit like my name, so I've come to clear up with you in the court the difference between what this sounds like and what my real name is, so that you don't make the mistake again and send me a corporation notice continuously because I'm a sovereign entity. Right? Well,
What was the upshot?
The moral lesson.
the upshot was, in other words,
The judge.
yeah, because suddenly there's another authority in the room, and it's bigger than him. Right?
Gosh, Grant, you've got to have the guts to do that.
Yeah, but once you've prepared your mind a little bit how you're going to perform in a situation like that, you suddenly get the outworking of it working through you, and it strengthens you, it fortifies you. And then he says, okay, $500 fine and cancellation of licence. So anyway, I went, didn't pay the fine, they cancelled my licence. Well, I made myself another one, didn't I? Which, according to the Constitution, no one can have a monopoly on issuing the licence. And according to the Constitution, licences are totally illegal and unlawful. They're against the law.
I remember a guy called Barlow giving a talk on that.
Yeah. And so I just made my own and I kept on going. They send something out in the mail, addressed to the wrong person, send it back. It's not me.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll give up. And even if the sheriff tries to come around or sends a letter, just send it back, send it back, send it back. It's not me. Eventually they'll give up because they know they're breaking the law. They know they're a corporation extracting money and tithes and everything out of you.
Yes.
So let's go for the dial-up, you guys. I can see Sylvia there getting anxious.
In the internet, look, CLRG.
CLRG, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Community Law Reform Group. And it's got a lot of this information about you shouldn't be paying taxes and you shouldn't be paying for licenses and all. This is a sovereign country, but it's a sovereign country.
only time I've had trouble with the lorry when we were in Colorado. We were living over there for 10 months and we drove down South 7 and 9. Carly was 2 and Jonathan was in 20. So we right up there. And we drove accidentally into Area 51.
Really?
Accidentally into Area 51.
Oh, yes.
Never heard of it.
Oh.
We went to this great big game.
They can shoot you on sight, mate.
Gates were
According to
open.
their law, which is not a law.
We bought a car while we were over there. The babies were in the back. We're driving 3D and all of a sudden police came out of everywhere, pulled us over, wanted to see our licence. They had guns on us. They came out of the car like this and said, "Put your hands on the dashboard. Get out, move." So we had to put our hands up. It was so scary. They were dark-skinned, really bad skin, like Spanish or Mexican people.
Probably clones.
Clothes they look like. I thought, my God, how come we're here? So I checked it out. While they took our licences and passports and everything back to their car to look it all up on the internet, I checked out what was underneath them, and it was full of spaceships and everything.
Oh, there's all heaps of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, then, you guys.
Yeah.
What this is about, Dennis, isn't it? Dennis?
Yes.
It's about...
Can you share?
It's a very strange kind of a work compared to what we've known on the planet before.
I don't think I've got that sheet actually.
And it's to do with frequencies, tonal signatures, which means sound tones. That's why we sing a lot of songs. And what it does internally, as you make sound tones from your own body, you're actually activating ancient memories of part of your own original genetics.
We're going to get
And you're reaching up into a higher dimensional matrix of living structure. So you're actually reactivating yourself.
Okay. No, it's not okay.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting, but Michelle didn't get the packet of information that you were handing out. We were one short, I think. She doesn't have the dial-up and everything. Yeah, we're going to copy. Yeah, got to copy someone's, but we've got...
Dennis has got yeah, I don't know, maybe not.
Anymore. Otherwise, I'll photocopy mine for you.
One of those before. I have it in another folder.
But we must make sure you've got it. Yeah, that's it. Yes, that's it. Oh, you do have it. Okay. Yes. But if you have it somewhere.
Yes, so where's
I don't know whether I've got any of those yet.
Have handouts and collect them after each session. So
Yeah, I suppose people could actually get used to hanging on to them. I don't think I've got those particular ones in here now.
But now Lavina is updating it.
Yeah, we're updating
anyway, so.
So
We'll see if we can get extra copies
Can
of
you
that
say
one.
mine from when you wanted Dennis books on too?
So what we'll do is we'll have to share a little bit if we can.
Well, can you share with this Ricardo? I'll share with Dennis. Yeah.
No, I've just got other info here. I haven't got a spare copy of that. I don't think. But there is an addition onto it now.
So make sure you all get the revised copy.
So there is a new council that we're actually joining in with.
Oh, yeah? Where are they located?
They are a new matrix, so you can read it out there.
We add in the Christic name and action of the Alhambra Magistracy Councils of Cosminias and God's source first eternal.
Now, I gave the other sheet of paper to someone else, of course. Lavina's going to update them this Monday, I think.
So for the next meeting we'll have the updated version. So we got this on Monday night. Yes.
So how did you know there's a new council?
Oh, there's been a bit of an upheaval in the Shield.
Serious?
Yeah. See, just talk about that a minute. I've got to go. The little room.
What happened with the upheaval of the Shield?
The speakers 1, 2 and 3. Speakers 2 and 3 have lost their contract.
These are real people.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Ashiana is speaker number 1, and then Michael, her partner, was speaker 2, and then there was another lady, speaker 3. Now they've lost their contracts, so there's a big change happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And then there is this Andrew, on spiritual planes, she met him first as Ari. Another person seems to be coming in who's a very pure soul. So it's a state of flux. There's a lot more going on, but I don't know the details.
That's interesting, because a while ago Glenn was telling me that there could be a negative alien taking over this, or maybe that's what's happened, because it's such profound work.
Yes,
They're trying to
be under tremendous attack, I expect.
Maybe that's what's happened.
It could be.
It's rare.
Could Ashian then allow a dark energy to come in there with you?
No, just to run someone else.
Michelle asked what was going on. I said speakers 2 and 3 have lost their contracts. Yes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with this work,
Who's second?
well, the high councils have said we've noticed the energies they're running in their own personal shields, and they're no longer worthy to transmit the work.
Oh, I see.
See, because look, as you know, our own templates have gone through billions of years of incarnational history. And we have many, many family lines, and some of the family lines that we've come from have been badly contaminated, but we've always had opportunities to come into regenesis and to change the genetic structure through the body, doing works and different practices and techniques, and a readiness to discard the distorted codes and upgrade. So everyone's always had opportunities to upgrade, and they've often been given speaking contracts to come in and teach planetary systems here and there, how to bring the work in, and through that, doing the work, they actually get upgrades in their own system.
Because Glenn told me a couple of months ago that some negative alien might come in and take over, try and change this.
Yes.
Because it's so precious.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what's actually the big threat at the moment.
Yeah.
And with those 2 speakers gone, I don't know what's going to happen, but she's come into union with what she calls her Triadic twin self from higher dimensions. They're split into 2, they're sort of found each other, and they're transmitting a new healing frequency now. So future workshops might be her and this other guy. Not sure exactly.
Ashiana and something.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds right. That's the 2 poles again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it maybe had to happen.
Maybe all that work is done.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
now going to another level.
This work is still so permanent in the structure of consciousness, and now it's a different frequency thing happening. But Glenn's quite right. The more light you're carrying, the more attack comes on.
Yeah.
So we've got to constantly be building a shield of energy, able to rebuff intruders coming in, trying to get into your own personal shields. Because once they get a foothold in your own field, and you start allowing that energy to run, it can be disguised as well, you don't really know sometimes.
Very cunning.
Once it starts running a current in through your template, it starts to manifest itself in your body and start to take over in some ways. Right? So we've got to be very careful what we're doing, and that's why this work has always been protected under, like we say, commercial copyright, so that it's always maintained an integrity in the dissemination. Not given to sort of self-interpretation, but we've always been given free will to make our own connections upstairs into the Guardian Alliance and self. Layers of our own consciousness is our true self-original identity. Right, so we've always been given the freedom to do that, but it's under strict kind of teaching contract, which means it's protected in some form. So there's been a shattering in the shield. But every one of us is responsible for our own integrity, our own true desire to purify ourselves.
Does that affect everybody involved when there's everything in the shield?
Yeah, and I even see a lot of disturbance in the emailing, and a lot of people just doing sort of weird stuff and not communicating with them.
Program.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got different backgrounds, and we've all got different energies trying to sway us away from our truth. But at the same time, I found the best secret is to always offer every family member of our genetic inheritance for billions of years. It doesn't matter how many times the family lines are crossed over, always bless all of your family lines right back to the first fall away from source, That way they can feel the inclusion in the regeneration. Even though they might rebuff it and reject it, if you always accept them, and when they're accepted, they come into a guardianship regenesis mission, which means, you know, that they're not able to perpetuate their fallen codes. They're coming into an upgrade under guardianship, right? Yeah. And by the way, this is Prison Planet here too, by the way, and we're under guardianship.
Prison Planet.
This is Prison Planet, and we've got prison guards called the Guardians, so that we don't perpetuate, you know, the destructive codes. Even though we've got free will, there'll come a time, you know, where we would always be given the opportunity to upgrade, which we're in now, a stellar activation cycle, upgrade cycle, right? Could you imagine, you know, a prison planet? It's under dark black hole control. Locked up under...
Key.
Under, not guardian so much, but it's like controllers that are trying to shut us down and take our energy out. Originally, this planet was a regenesis planet with true guardians. It would be always teaching regenesis, until those teachers were corrupted, and then they started bringing in the control codes and shutting us all down. So any regenesis...
The real guardians went inside, didn't they? Or like the divas, and they ran off or went to another plane.
Well, originally the guardians came from inner structures within the earth and came out and emerged on the surface. The Magi and the priests of Ur and other different Stargate collectors.
My crystal guardian cards are all from me, and they said that they're returning, and there's 33 of them.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things happening, and there's also a lot of distortion fields in the earth and in the atmospheres. So that's why we're learning how to span distortion fields and go into what we call a host. I've described the host before. The host is a guardian organic system of perpetual motion light that is surrounding the earth. It's like a star. It is a star. It's surrounding the earth, and you can't see the star because it's on another angle of rotation of particles spin. The particles are on a different frequency wave, so you can't see them, but they're hosting us and supporting us like a breathalyzer, keeping us alive because we're in a black hole full. They're keeping us alive, encouraging us to journey into their matrix, to pick up their codes of their living structure, and to let the inner kingdom flows, or what we call the Deity planes, join. So our inner, their outer, become a witness, and in that witness we dissolve the distortion fields that are in the midst of us. Right?
I've drawn a map of that, the star around you.
Well, we've got it all.
Well, she has to.
We've got it all in here. And the sun has got a star around it. Other dimensional stars that we fell down through, they've all got stars supporting them. Right? So that's why we sing the songs, to actually tune with that kind of matter base, that kind of frequency, to go into those healing rooms, to go into those teaching rooms, to gather consciousness, to really start to transfer our consciousness into those areas so we can leave this falling world behind.
And is that to do with stargates, or is it separate again?
No, stargates are vortex energy sets. See, because part of this work says Earth has decided to fall down into sovereign fall. It cannot...
For a time period.
Well, it'll go back to what we call Kali Rama step back. Go back, it'll fall back into this, what we call ring of fire, elemental melt, and then it'll come back out again into this dimension again. Rebirth out into this dimension. But those on here now have got the opportunity to migrate consciousness of self-identity off here into new living perpetual motion structures to continue on in the evolution of consciousness.
So isn't the Earth doing that as well, though? The Earth as a body?
Well, there's a lot of conjecture about what's happening here. A lot of people are saying the Earth is regenerating and all this shuffling and that, but don't forget there's a lot of cosmic frequencies coming into this planet at the moment, throwing a real upheaval, and it's being supported and buffered by Guardian Alliance technology to try to hold it in the shift, so it's not going to really pole shift or pole flip.
With their grids and
well, I don't know whether it's Arcturians.
As one.
Well, I mean, some of these could be interfering race lines as well. We've got to remember that we don't know who they are, what they're doing. Are they intruders? Are they what? We don't know. But we know we have an authentic, original self-identity collective.
It says the different Earths emerging, the phantom Earth and the aurora Earth, and then
there's many versions of Earth. See, the original quanta of Earth, which would be full quantum of energy restructuring, 1/3 of the energy, or that particular template, has fallen into what we call phantom fall. It's already falling, and it's lined fully with black hole falls being sucked right in now. There's another part which we call median Earth, which has never been affected by intruders. That's another 1/3 of the quanta.
Is that middle Earth?
No, it's median Earth, it's outside exterior Earth. And there's also what we call metatronically netted Earth, or MET-net.
From Metatron?
Archangel Metatron is sucking stuff, it's trying to suck stuff down the black hole, right?
So that's not a good thing?
No, black holes, see, part of our original encryption was Metatronic, which means it's which means it's not Lord Metatron.
Right.
It's Metatronic, which means it's a kind of a physics that was working as a perpetual motion structure. It was part that was mentioned in Cathara teachings. Lord Metatron, like many of the angels, Archangel Michael, and a lot of the angels, are what we call masters on the fifth harmonic, or the fourth harmonic, fifth dimension, or fourth dimension. And they're infiltrating our 3D plane and sucking the energy into their matrix, right? Pretending to be helpers. So this is what the New Age movement's falling into.
Metatron one of those that's doing it.
The biggest angel.
Yeah, they're causing currents of energy, siphoning matrix to bring down the black hole.
I could never go along with Metatron. I've got a group of people up in King Lake who are all doing this Metatron teaching, and I can't.
See, but there's many forms of teaching that some people will really grate against that one, someone will grate against that one, someone might love that one, someone might love this. But the thing is, we've all been trained in distortions over millions of years. We've all been trained to accept and practice the distortion technologies which spiral energy the wrong way and suck it into the black hole. In the centre of this galaxy there's a massive black hole, and it's like a big pipe coming out to all the planets, and it's sucking and it's going, and it's got its tendrils into every atom of say your body. The atoms of your body would normally be organic perpetual motion life structures, right? But one field of atoms is spinning in the wrong direction, and a quantum of energy of that atom is running down black hole. The rest of it's here to sustain your system.
Which black hole?
The black hole in the centre of the galaxy.
Sagittarius.
That's only a gateway.
See, the black hole in the centre of this galaxy is a wormhole, time rip technology structure that's sucking energy out of all the living matter of this galaxy.
And where does that go once?
Into the black hole, into the centre, into the core zones, which goes into a parallel adjacent matrix. It's more than a galaxy, it's a universal structure. It goes over there. It's billions and billions and billions of light years away in normal cosmic structure. So it's coming from here, it's being ripped through time wormhole technology over there, and all of their children on the other end are eating our energy.
But maybe one day we'll end up over there.
If you're not careful. So the idea is not to end up over there as food.
So you pure.
No, it's not natural. Black hole, white hole, vortex energy sets on an atomic structure are perfectly normal, where antiparticle particle universe are spinning through each other, and are breathing in and out of black hole, white hole, vortex energy sets in the dimensionalized form of your anatomy.
So it's sort of a different plane altogether.
Black hole technology is the alien intruders sucking energy through matrices in falling systems, which we're in a falling system.
So if enough of us purify ourselves and connect ourselves to Source, if enough of us do that, that will stop that happening in time.
Yeah, could you imagine this? Black hole, vortex energy, Merkaba, it's what we call Atlantean Death Star Merkaba technology. It's sucking energy out of every part of the matter base of this planet. It's sucking a certain quantum of energy out. All of us are contributing to the black hole. And that we're in death because we're contributing to the black hole. Normally our body would rise up in perpetual motion of life, but we can't overcome it.
The sun can dry us out.
Well, the sun is a part of the fallen structure too, right? It didn't used to be, but it is now, right? Now, just like everything in the galaxy was originally part of Andromeda Galaxy, but can you imagine a big demon came in and put its tendrils into Andromeda and took a chunk and I'm sucking you out. And it took it over here. Now this is called the Milky Way Galaxy. Over here's the Andromeda Galaxy.
I thought we were merging.
Well, we're trying to merge because of regenesis, and some of them are migrating consciousness back to there, which means we're restructuring Andromeda.
Oh, right, okay.
So the part that's attached to the black hole is It's the matter base of this galaxy and many other galaxies are being ripped into to feed that faraway parallel adjacent matrix.
But we can start to diminish
Yes,
that.
and that's what we're talking
Yes,
about.
yes.
Could you imagine if every person on this planet decided to no longer supply energy to the black hole? What does that mean? It means that we got the codes from our parents. See, we're hybrids. We've got many, many race line mixings, and we've got many genetic codes that are attuned to the falling race lines. We are their children, but we've also got our Christic reality, which is perpetual motion life, God-given seed.
Which they had too.
Well, they had, but they lost it, and they can't regain it, so they invade other systems to take the energy from us. Right?
So are they not trying to regain it? They are living off our substance.
Yeah, they've dedicated themselves to separation, and they're trying to convert the whole system into a Metatronic coded system, right? And the reason that we have to evacuate the galaxy is because the universal structure has got a membrane around, and there's billions of galaxies in the universe. This small universe is a very infinitesimal part of that large structure. The membrane is quarantining everything off in all of these galaxies in this universe. And the same, from now on, the gates, which are time vortex sets, you can no longer rise your consciousness into higher dimensional structure because it's being quarantined. Get off here now because we're teaching you how to get off. Separate all of your codes that are attuned to your family race lines down the black hole, bless them so that they'll wake up. But if you don't want to get sucked down there, you've got to take those codes out of your system and regenerate with the hosting codes and rise up into life.
But what if you want to go with your family?
Well, they are part of our family, but our God family is higher structure, right?
Theirs is too.
Theirs is too. So what we do is we have this way of regenerating them too.
Yeah, if we regenerate ourselves, then they will
get the picture. They'll get the picture.
Yes.
So their hope was in their children, that the children would overcome, and we are the children. We're the children.